This week we're going to talk about depression. When you think of the word depression and how it's used in movies and popular media, you might just think of sadness, wanting to stay in bed. And those things are certainly true of depression. But what we also know is that depression can look like low motivation, difficulty sleeping, difficulty concentrating, eating more or less than you intended to, sleeping more or less than you intended to, and just feeling generally blah. It can also be really devastating. There's a lot of different ways that you can have a feeling that we call depression. At the beginning of this week, you're going to take a little checklist to look at your current symptoms of depression. Then we're going to move on some different videos teaching you about how to deal with a low mood. This is a different kind of stress because it's not a feeling of being amped up, although depression can come with agitation and irritability. Irritability can be a big sign of depression, especially in kids and young adults and teenagers. But it's more that feeling a sinking in your chest, a lump in the throat, feeling like nothing you do is right. We know, for example, that when people are depressed, they have certain kinds of thought patterns. They're wearing their depression glasses. Everything looks very narrow and negative and bad. And we have these kind of black glasses on, as Judith Beck talks about in this book about CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. What a lot of the things we're talking to you about is based on. So when you have your black glasses on, everything might seem really bad. And not only does it seem bad now, it seems like it was always bad before because you have trouble remembering. Part of depression is a bias in trying to remember good times. Your brain actually filters that out and only sees the bad, or makes something that might have been good, like one of your achievements or a good memory, and kind of picks out the negative parts of it. And then you also might see the future as really bad, hopeless, and just interminable, like this is never going to end. And that we know is just a function of your brain feeling depressed. It's a time of withdrawal, taking things in. Maybe it's a good time for you to sit and listen rather than be energetic and get things out, right? A lot of people feel unproductive when they're depressed, and that's okay. Sometimes you have to just get through it, and we'll teach you some ways to get through it. We'll also teach you some ways to feel better. There's two main, I think, things that have helped me, that research shows helps, and that have helped a lot of my clients with depression. And one of those, the first one, is self-compassion. So this sounds really fluffy, but it is basically the idea of being nice to yourself and saying, instead of let's get rid of this feeling, or let's fight this feeling, or I shouldn't be feeling like this, can we accept it? Can we just say, I feel like this and I still love myself? We'll teach you a couple of strategies this week for kind of checking in with yourself. I do feel this way right now. What do I need? Do I need to do some self-care? Do I need to relax for the day? Do I just need to lay low? Do I need to talk to a friend? What do I need right now? That's self-compassion. Self-compassion helps with some of those negative thoughts, because sometimes a negative thought comes up with your black glasses and you're able to challenge it and kind of say, well, I don't think that's really true, right? And that's what CBT is more about. But sometimes when a negative thought comes up, you just don't have the energy to fight it. Or maybe it actually is true, like you did fail the test. And in those cases, I think self-compassion can be a little more helpful. One of the reasons that self-compassion works is because even though people think this will make me more lazy, or somehow it'll just be indulgent and I'll just be oh, I just need to lay in bed all day, that's not true. Research actually shows that when you use self-compassion, you become more accepting of yourself. There can follow more positive feelings, and you may actually get more energy and motivation. And why is that? Well, it's because often when we think a bad thought, have a bad feeling, or even do a bad thing, instead of saying, well, I did this bad thing, it's outside of me, the monster is out here, which allows us to see around it and be able to deal with it and maybe go back and fix something if we said something wrong or did something that, a friend reacted badly to and that we really do feel guilty about. Okay, if it's out here, I can fix it, I can challenge it, I can look at it. But a lot of us, what we do instead is we say, shoo, the monster's in here. It's me that's bad. If you really knew me, you'd know that I'm actually bad. And your brain with its black glasses on says, not only are you bad, you're the worst. And you've always been like this, and you're always going to be like this, and it is part of you. That is what we call shame. So Brene Brown has a big distinction that she makes between guilt, the bad thing is out here and I can fix it, and shame, which is the bad thing is in me. I am the bad thing, and it's inevitable because everything I touch turns to junk. I am just bad. This is not productive at all, because if you see it as yourself, then it is unchangeable. It feels really sticky and internal and not able to be kind of worked on or even accepted. So a lot of the strategies we're going to teach you about to do with self-compassion encourage you to look at it more as, how can you take that bad element and put it out here? For example, we'll talk about, what would a friend say about something similar? What would you say to a friend that was going through something similar? Would you tell them they're a bad person? What about a little kid? Would you say, oh yeah, you're just a bad kid? No, you would say, yeah, you hit your brother, or you said a bad thing, or you said the wrong thing, and let's look at how we can do better next time. How do we respond? So that's the idea, again, of kind of externalizing it, taking it out of you, because those black glasses make you think it is inside of you. And that is what perpetuates that cycle of depression, because you feel like a bad person, you do a bad thing,